Welcome back to Scintillae Podcast. Cheaper than therapy, vulnerable and analytical, two transbians navigating late-stage capitalism. My name is Alisha.
And mine's Raven.
What are we talking about today, my love?
Well, I think the title's quite misleading on this one, of fictional men we'd like to fuck. Because actually this is just an excuse for us to talk about a video that we spent months scripting, recorded, and didn't put out.
Never seen the light of day.
No.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. I think it's a good video.
I still think that it is, and I still think that it would be interesting to find the footage and put it out eventually. What was the title that we had given to that?
It was Loki, Spike, and...
Oh, it was, the romanticisation of abuse.
Yeah.
Because, the main character study was going to be Hiddleston's Loki, and then going back to James Master Spike in Buffy, and through the various vampires. We didn't input Astarion because Astarion wasn't out yet at the time.
Correct.
So it's how long it's been around.
We wanted to do the video when season 1 of Loki came out, the TV show. Then we thought, okay, let's try and get it done by season 2's release. Then after season's 2 release, I think 4 months later, we actually tried to
That's
get
the
it
thing,
done.
we filmed it around the actual finale of Loki, of the season 2, which was so... You could tell that there was no longer a woman directing.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, we did all that work, all that introspection, all that character development, all that. And it's lost because men have to wank, basically, until they are raw, quite literally. I mean, that's the entire metaphor of Loki season 2. And so it wasn't quite worth our attention anymore, really.
But how did we get on to Loki and the fandom's appreciation of him?
So I think when the season 1 of Loki came out, I dipped my toes into that era, which I think is around 2013. Because I remembered it and I was like, oh, I remember the time when people decided Hiddleston as Loki was hot. How did that happen? Because you saw it coming from Avengers. I did not.
Yeah, because we'd seen the reaction in Hall H.
Oh, the All H speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was for Thor: The Dark World, where
Yes.
even though that movie's very little about Loki and his Loki characterization is terrible, the buzz was all brought around we're bringing Loki back for this. And so he's giving the speech that he did in Avengers.
Yeah.
And telling people to say my name.
Say my name. Say my name. Say my name! Say my name!
Where they know exactly what they're doing.
They know exactly what they're doing.
But it begged the question of where did this obsession start? Because it didn't come from the first Thor movie.
No. I think you had latched on to something valid when you said, oh, it's the way that Loki was written in the first Avengers, which means that he was written misogynistic and peculiarly sexy, apparently, for that, by Joss Whedon.
Yes.
And Joss Whedon of Buffy fame.
And of serial abuser and a bigamist, not bigamist, but serial cheater.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah. And the problem with people like Joss Whedon is that because he realized back in the 90s, oh, you know what's not popular yet, but I think could improve things. Women are doing feminism all wrong. We need men doing feminism, and I will be that. And so just realized that there was an untapped market that if he tapped into, it would be untouchable. Because if you are the only white cishet man that talks about and gives screen time to feminist characters, feminist sort of issues in Buffy, doesn't matter how awful you will be to people, you will not be taken down because for these people to even speak up against you, they would need to accept that they would have to attack the only person that currently is using their power and platform to talk about feminist issues. I can't imagine how completely conflictual that must have been for everybody on the Buffy set back in the 90s and noughties, because there was nothing else like it. How do you fight its inventor, despite the fact that he pins you to the wall, that he's not allowed in the same room with a 14-year-old girl alone? It's that kind of thing.
And this is the problem with that video, was I put, like, there was a lot of information out there on Joss. And, like, James Masters had given a few interviews about the way Joss treated him and how Joss felt about the character of Spike. But I think I spent a bit too long theorizing and trying to draw conclusions from the themes in the show and the way that the characters are written. But that was kind of on the basis that, assuming that Joss had quite a heavy hand in the writing in every episode, which actually now I've realized isn't necessarily true.
Yeah, but I still think that you self-police yourself on tone when you had every right. That was conjecture, and we said that it was conjecture. And with all the actual information and what the victims said about it, I think it was completely fair.
Except that I now know that my conjecture was wrong.
But he still said that it was conjecture.
Right, but it was wrong conjecture. So
You're being too hard on yourself. You're being too strict on yourself. But I do appreciate why, therefore, rather than a video essay, which is supposed to, give you information and points of reflection on actual facts, and then you take on your research from that. This is more of a discussion.
Yeah, because I had an idea in my head that Joss hated and resented the character Spike so much that he was punishing him in the writing. But
there are things in which he does, admittedly.
Yeah, there are. But the story of Joss being frustrated that James changed the characterization of Spike to make him a long-lasting character, and Joss didn't want it to. By season 4, season 5, Joss understood what he had, and so he came to love the character as much as everyone else did. Like for the bit in Seeing Red, which if you haven't seen it, it's an episode where after Buffy is broken up with Spike, that Spike tries to rape her.
And tries to overpower her. Yes.
And I thought I'd read something that was to do with Joss Whedon originally had written it so that Buffy found Spike eating someone, like the chip was going to stop working.
Yes.
And Buffy would find Spike killing a human and would be disgusted, and that would be what would make him run off and get his soul back.
Yeah.
And actually, no, it was a female writer who sexually assaulted and overpowered a college roommate.
Her ex-boyfriend, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and she thought, wouldn't it be fun to flip the genders on that? And it's like, you already had the flipped gender version. You've put it back into the horrible.
The thing about, season 6 and 7 weren't under the constantly watchful eye of Joss, because at that point Joss had taken over for Angel, and I think Martin Oxon was in charge of season 6 and 7 as showrunner. Joss was still overlooking by all means, so I don't think that we can just wash Joss's conscience of Seeing Red. Like the information has got to him, and he was like, "Yeah, cool."
Yeah.
But
I was making conjecture about like the reasons for doing it, and they were wrong.
I'm sorry. Like, I know we're making conjecture, but a man that has done the thing that Joss has done, look them up. Like, we're not going to go into detail here, but look them up. No, I'm absolutely not surprised that he was probably having a Cheshire Cat smile when he heard about Seeing Red. That's my vision of this. And until I am proven wrong, and there's actually a recording of Joss when he first got the draft of the treatment of Seeing Red, I will not believe anything else. But that's my opinion. But what Joss has the bizarre ability to do is tap into the Byronian hero, or, going further back, I think that the prototype, the trope comes from the Beauty and the Beast and all those kind of fairy tales that we started to tell women because we needed to give them something when they were sold to men that were usually much older than them, bad men, they literally consider them properties. We're talking about the Middle Ages, we're talking about like the 1500s. And when you were sold like that to someone that could have been your father who just used you and abused you, fairy tales like The Beauty and the Beast had to become fixtures of folklore because they needed to give women something to make them believe, oh, it seems bad and all, and it treats you badly, but if you are good enough and nice enough as a woman, you can change it.
Or in the way that it's kind of been much more succinctly developed in the new romantasy age is if you're blonde enough and white enough, then they will not treat you the way that they've been treating everyone else, often minorities or people from marginalized backgrounds. I mean, the new book that's come out, Alchemized, that is just Draco and Hermione fan fiction. And you got this evil bad character that is forced against his will to kidnap Hermione and keep her in his tower. And then his redemption arc is that he gets her pregnant and feels bad about it. Like, that's the redemption that we're going to now. But yeah, Hermione is like the woman who stands above the racialized minority that's in these magical universes that we pull from Harry Potter.
And now we're going to do a quick insert explaining the issue with white women. Again! I think it's like the third episode that we go into this from different angles and lenses. Yeah. But have you ever noticed how all this new era of retelling of stories of the dark and broody hero, when it's then owned and retold by women, it tends to be white, cis, het, middle-aged, mothers, actually.
I mean, in the case of Alchemized, I think she is Asian American.
Well, maybe we have evolved by now, but this started, let's be very clear. When did it get from someone like Joss writing, Sexy Spike, to women actually like this? And women actually like this in its most recent incarnation.
Yeah.
Is Stephenie Meyer. It's Twilight.
Well, because she got the teenagers and the mums at the same time. Especially when the movies came out.
Well, she was a mum when she wrote it. Yes. And she is, to me, the epitome of this, because it shows so well how in contemporary society, the promise that was made to white women by patriarchy has been broken. And the way that these women try to cope with it is through writing this stuff for all the things that weren't given to them and they were promised. And they were promised by virtue of being born a white woman, you will get a man that will want to marry you, that will love you, shower you with love, with power and money, so you don't have to work and worry about that because it's something that you acquire from men, and you will have this perfectly romantic life. And then, I mean, Stephenie Meyer is also a Mormon, so let's bring the patriarchal kind of religion that there's there as well. Stephenie Meyer finds herself with a husband and 3 sons. Yeah. Very much into cars. And she wakes up at some point, I think, in her mid-30s going, what the fuck had happened in my life? Where is all the romance that I was promised? And what she decides to write is the dream that she has of being swept off her feet by someone that is indeed the promise the patriarchy made her, which is rich and wanted and desired, but he doesn't see anybody else until his eyes meet hers. And you can tell that there's always this thing about, it is a promise the patriarchy made you that you understood was based just on who you are. You don't have to do anything for it. You don't have to work for it.
Yeah.
Because it's always fucking blood.
Yeah, it's this intuition, again, this intuitive understanding of the way that the world works. So they recognize that they're supposed to get everything and they haven't. So what's missing then? And it's, some special biological trait. It's
always biological. It's always the blood, the scent, the looks. It's never something that any of these protagonists had to work for, which is mind-boggling to me.
Bella smells good.
Yeah.
is the blood singing
Yeah.
thing. Sookie Stackhouse is a fairy
Same.
that smells delicious to every single vampire.
Elena in Vampire Diaries is physically the doppelganger of Catherine. So it literally just looks like the woman loved by the vampire brothers. It keeps going. It's always like that.
What's her name?
Diana in A Discovery of Witches.
Yeah.
Blood, same story.
And they never go into any explanation on that one. Like,
No.
other than the fact that she's the magic weaver or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not why she smells so good.
But it's also
She
the
just smells
thing,
really good
like
to this.
the point of Diana and partially why the other witches in A Discovery of Witches hate her is because she never had to work for her magic. She never had to exercise, and she still has the more powerful magic of anyone else.
Yeah.
So there's always this innate quality that white women understand they need to have, and there's nothing that they ever had to work for, which to me has always been mind-boggling. Like, I have been into this kind of writing this kind of character, and I will neither deny nor confirm that at some point in my past, I have exercised my pen muscles into understanding if you were to write something like this, what would it be based upon?
Yeah.
And what always left me wanting in all of these stories was,
Liking you for you.
yeah, like I just,
Who you are.
I'm just
as
like-
a person. Like recognizing that you have something called a personality and traits and abilities and a mind and a voice.
like to me, okay, now we're going into reality, because admittedly, if the point of white women getting so disappointed with the life that they get when they are wives, mothers, and not much else, sometimes they get degrees and still they just get the husband and children that don't quite care about them, and suddenly they find themselves, what have I done all this for? Yeah, exactly. So beside their way to cope, which is writing this stuff, I do understand that if that is the ideal of romance and life and finding a partner you've been given and you are sorely disappointed by the reality of society, you see that there is a gap to bridge. On a personal note, I am absolutely stupid and naive on my sense of romantic existence in real life. Like I am absolutely unrealistic, and I've just been fucking lucky, because you shouldn't have. Like, you don't make sense.
You're amazing.
You are, but you like. No, you don't. Like, it's amazing that you're here, but you don't make sense, because I genuinely just have a very fictional idea of what romance is, and yet you fit all the fucking boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that being said, when the bridge that they try to cross is just about there is an issue. I haven't got what I was promised.
Yep.
I'll just do a lot of visualization, basically. Like that's what writing all this stuff is. Like Deborah Harkness, the writer of A Discovery of Witches, when Matthew Goody was cast as Matthew in the TV series, and when they stopped filming, when the seasons ended, they auctioned the costumes of the actors, and Deborah Harkness bid and won on the costumes of Matthew Goody, and I was like,
That haven't been washed since he wore them on set.
I understand. I vaguely understand what's happening here, but at no point, none of you white girlies have thought maybe it's worth starting to understand what's wrong in the system if we all find ourselves, having to write, depending on the persuasion, soft to hardcore porn to cope. No, just me.
So getting to us then, what do you see as we'll call them Tumblr sexy men
Yeah.
as a basis, but what's the traits that you like to see in a Tumblr sexy man? The ones that work for you?
So I think Astarion was the last one that hit us in the face. And the funny thing about that is that so Astarion left a good impression on us because we didn't get to know Astarion through Baldur's Gate 3. We got to know Astarion through the fandom
Yeah.
on Tumblr and on Archive of Our Own and fan fictions and stuff like that. And how the fandom was writing him.
Yeah.
Oh, I can totally see that he is this kind of receptacle of, you know, broody, charming vampire.
Helps.
Vampire helps. Because vampire brings the implication of status, even if in the case of Astarion, he is a vampire spawn, so he doesn't actually have that status. And then that was actually the beauty of getting to know Astarion through the fandom, who had already paid attention to all those details and saw how Astarion was trying to subvert the character. And it was like that for like a good 4 or 5 months. Oh my God, what is this character? This is amazing because it has that cockiness and that confidence, but also that vulnerability. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And then we actually got to play Baldur's Gate 3. And I think that Neil Newbon has done hate crimes on all of us, Like, I know that my voice is very much out of the chorus here. I'm very happy for everyone that can enjoy Neil Newbon's performance.
Yeah, because we romance Astarion every single time we play. And yet the entire time is just spent screaming, Neil, why? What have you done?
And I understand that, again, we spent so much time analyzing and reflecting on this kind of trope that maybe to a degree, all the subterfuges of trying to get to people through their gut feeling rather than the reasoning still works on most people, because we have done a lot of the reasoning around it.
Yeah.
We're just, it takes a lot to impress us. It takes a lot.
Exactly. I think my lists of traits, they need to be edgy. Not necessarily bad, but edgy. Silly. Silliness is very important to me.
Really?
Yeah. And also crying.
Wet man.
Yeah. So yeah, I describe it as the wet man. Like, wet men get me wet. And so, yeah. I mean, we recently found someone who's too wet, which was Russell 2V in The War Between the Land and the Sea, where he spends too much time crying in that. Like, I can't get on board. He doesn't have the edge. He is silly, but he doesn't have that, like, bad boy edge to him that balances it all out. But, like, yeah, Spike is very silly.
Yeah, and I see that. And you know what? That's actually my least favorite characteristic. There is something about... I don't like, and Edward never worked for me on Twilight, but I completely understand. Yeah, but I completely understand why it has such an impact on people.
I don't see it at all.
I see it. It doesn't do it for me, but I see it. But there is something about that character that needs to be very, not necessarily stoic, but serious. And so the silliness, it doesn't quite gel for me. It needs to be, because I think the silliness implies that every time that you feel that tension between, is it sexual or is it dangerous, fundamentally, the silliness breaks that kind of tension, because you know that you can break that tension with that. Like with a proper, like, getting out of the expectation, with a joke, so the silliness breaks the magic for me.
I mean, yeah, Joss has the problem with quippiness. So, like, I can see what you mean breaking the tension. Like the first episode where Spike confronts Buffy in School Hard. Yeah. And he's holding the pool cue like a dick. And Buffy's like, well, you got to have weapons. He's like, I don't need them. I just like them. They make me feel all manly. And they're like, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah, I get that. That is not quite silly. The kind of
There's
silliness.
There's a flirtiness to it.
Yes. And okay, with that I can be on board. I guess for silliness, I think of our kind of silliness, and I'm like, that breaks the tension. We don't. It's very hard for us to play those kind of games without going necessarily into our bedroom life, because we have this ability to break down the tension.
Edward doesn't flirt at any point in the entire goddamn movie. There is no sign of attraction between them. It's just stating outright. And then we get the fun of Midnight Sun now being released, where, in Twilight, you get all these scenes of Edward being quiet and mysterious and, oh God, what's going on in his mind and why is he staring at me like that? And then you read Midnight Sun and you get his internality, and it turns out he's either fantasizing how he's going to kill every single person in the room. He's dreaming up all of the ways that Bella is going to hurt herself and die. Like, he has OCD, just really bad OCD. There's a bit where he decides he has to climb into Bella's bedroom. Because, right, here's the thing, on the bedroom thing, right? Everyone reading it thought that, oh my God, it's so sweet that he cares. Like, no, he's stalking.
He's stalking.
And then it turns out the reality is even worse, which is he felt like he had to break into her room because what if a meteorite crashes through her roof and kills her? He needs to be in there to stop that.
I do have the feeling that Stephenie doesn't talk about that, but she has been in abusive situations, and that's, yeah. Because again, going back to the Beauty and the Beast, that was exactly the point. Like, you need to tell these stories to women so that they see the romance in these very abusive behaviors.
And there's always a chance that you might be married off to like an old baron who's on his third wife because he's killed the other two at some point, who's going to mistreat you and he's not going to be very attractive and you just have to do your duty. Yeah. But you sell this idea that, hey, maybe he'll turn out to be really nice and love you and maybe he'll treat you really well. And you just need to wait. You just need to wait it out and eventually you'll get there.
I mean, the point in which, let's make the beast turn nice and then you know what your prize is. If you manage to turn the beast nice, then he turns into a beautiful young prince.
Yeah.
It's the infamous thing, you need the lamb not to see the knife because otherwise the meat turns gamey. But wow, that's something that's been done for so many generations that it's actually scary. And unfortunately, we are so used to see it that now we have this generation of middle-aged white women that are continuing the trope. And it is absolutely fascinating to see how they have integrated abuse without any kind of critical thinking over it. And genuinely have completely absorbed the concept of abuse is because he wants me too much. And being wanted too much is exactly what I should want.
Yeah, because like there's this false idea that's what overpowering sexual assault is that, oh, he just wanted you so badly that you couldn't help it. And that is very rarely the case.
No, it's always about power. It's never about desire when sexual assault happens.
And I could believe the claim that these books are fantasizing about being desired. And I think, was it someone we were watching that was talking about tentacle porn. And saying that the non-consensual tentacle porn is popular because it allows you to fantasize about sexuality without having to take responsibility for it. Because it's against your will. And so even though it's kind of gross, you don't have to acknowledge, you have to come to terms with why you find it hot because, oh no, it's happening outside of your control.
Trash discourse
did that, fair enough, yeah. Like, I could believe that when it comes to these things, if it wasn't constantly negotiating with power structures. I mean, that's kings, it's lords, it's the fairy emperor.
It's literally just trying to replicate the hierarchy and power structures of patriarchy. Yeah. And it's literally claiming, patriarchy, you had promised me that by virtue of being born this way, because men would want to marry, not just fuck me, but marry me, because I am the kind of broodmare that will give the good kind of stock. Yeah. And you were promised me power and money out of this, basically, because that's why they are powerful men and they are rich men. In all of these, like, they usually need to be vampires because they get lifetimes to accumulate riches. Yeah. That's always the thing. So that is literally...
all the fairies are vampires, by the way. Basically, every single one I've ever read or looked at, the fairies are also vampires.
So that's the thing. Like, they're just trying to replicate the current hierarchical system that had promised them that, had not given it, and how they made up for it, they wrote about it. They wrote fan fiction about it.
Imagine if one of these romantasy authors wrote The Handmaid's Tale. Right? Handmaid gets taken into a family, and the plot twist of this is the dad then ends up leaving his wife for the handmaid that they kidnapped. And that's the happy ending, is that they run off together.
So something that I don't know where it's safe to go after this, to be honest, because it's I am not telling white women that their titillating preferences for erotica need changing. We like what we like, but I think it's also important to critically analyze and consider, why do we like what we like?
And why is it getting more popular now when right-wing authoritarianism is on the rise and they're taking rights away? Like, why is your fantasy in a situation where women's rights are being depleted is that it's okay because you'll be the special one. You'll be the one who's spared the bad treatment. Or even if you are treated badly, you'll be such a good victim that you'll turn your abuser's heart and they'll fall in love with you, and then they'll protect you from the other bad people. We're not going to overthrow this system. We're not going to make any challenge to it whatsoever. We're going to integrate ourselves in it, above it, and leave everyone else behind.
Why? Because you are just that special. You're not like the other girls. Yeah. I think it's a note worth putting here that have you ever noticed how when you grew up as a girl, to be a good girl, you need to be not like the other girls. You need to raise yourself above your gender mates. However, if you are raised as a boy, you need to be one of the boys. If you're not like the other boys, there's something wrong with you. So it's inculcated in us.
I have a solution for that.
What's the solution?
Estrogen.
No, I think it's very, very important to notice and critically thinking about these things, because we are so used to see these enforced from such a young age that it's all we know. And all we know means normal. And we very rarely try to consider analyzing normal. Normal is the standard. It's not. Yeah, I think it's interesting what kind of ways white women still find to write themselves in a story that gives them any kind of satisfaction. And I think something similar happened with the criticism that Lore Olympus had. Yeah. Which I bring in just because I think yesterday we did our New Year's Eve thing, and you brought Hades Calculus into the Good Things of 2025. And I was like, well, there's Lore Olympus then. I've read all Lore Olympus. Like I spent 3 days barely sleeping, just going through the entirety of it. And the 90s girl in me completely understands why it's catchy. It's this idea that, again, you're small, cute, and pure, and the broody, powerful man notices you and elevates you, and then, by all means, you have something like, I think, 8 years in the original time that it took to write, with all these things to, create tension, all of that. But I understand that fantasy. I was raised on that fantasy myself, where I immediately diverged, and I was like, why nobody is going into that? Call me crazy. Call me a praise slut. I am that. But good girl is not enough for me. Mm-hmm. Why? Why? What is the reason? Why do you want to be special without doing anything to earn that being special? Why being special means to have a certain kind of hair, a certain kind of blood, a certain kind of features.
And no gag reflex.
Like, it's throwing dice. Yeah. You know what's very, very cool, in my opinion, the stuff that you could work and develop yourself into, and somebody that sees that. Yeah. Like, by all means, coming from the marginalizations that I do, the idea of someone seeing the value in my survival and in the way that I've halfway managed myself, and halfway just because I was lucky, still in the way that trauma happened to me, I could take it the way that I did. And having that seen as my value it's so unique. Like, I know that that's also probably one of the reasons why we have never had any kind of jealousy between ourselves, because we always kept each other safe, and we never had the feeling of, oh, you would look at someone else, because we're like, well, no, I know that you understand where I come from. You love me for that. And I genuinely do hope that nobody else went through what I did. And same with you. And that's, it's bizarre to me, because when I see fictional romance, like without going now into the hardcore abuse that we have depicted as, but you know, all these proper romantic things, I'm like, oh, so that's what people are supposed to aspire. We are that. There's no one else like us. No offense, like by all means, like join in if you do. Yeah, that's something interesting to me. So that's everybody's aspiration, but people cannot bridge the gap between the false promises of the system and then, well, this is the system, how are you going to play in it? Yeah. And what are the structures that you need to take down? And you need to sit down with your partner to agree, this is the situation we are in. How are we going to overcome that and not let the system and the hierarchy tell us that basically we need to be in a codependent, abusive relationship? Because, under patriarchy, I would argue every kind of relationship defaults to that.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, going back to Buffy, while there's definitely a valid thing to say of Buffy being the most specialist Slayer, as well as like the Slayer being the
chosen one already.
The chosen one, and then Buffy's like the chosen one, who's blonde and very skinny and very white, and you have these like other non-blonde, non-white Slayers that get killed quite easily or defeated quite easily, or they're a bit evil. However, I think there is something to say with Spike falling in love with Buffy is what makes that romance better than, say, Buffy and Angel, is that Angel saw her and went, oh my God, I need to protect this sweet summer child as a 236-year-old man, perving after a 15-year-old at the time. Whereas Spike saw Buffy and went, I need to be underneath that.
Well, there is the argument, and you defend that, so you might want to give details here, that really, Buffy and Spike's relationship is actually quite descriptive of a lesbian relationship.
Oh, yeah. So this is the other thing with the Tumblr sexy man, is very often you get characters that are called baby girl. And it's because Jane Espenson, when she's writing Spike, she writes him as a woman. James Master's performance of Spike is very feminine, where he's decided to play it like the most romantic he could possibly get and have all these emotions and portray them through. And
which, if you do as a man, you're gay.
Yeah. And so what you end up with is like this essentially female character, as far as the ways that characters are written and they are played. You have this very female character that just happens to be played by a man.
Yeah, very female coded, but it happens to be.
Because like this is why this is what you get in a lot of these romance stories that are written by women, is the male characters have this depth and this emotionality
and language to express it.
That men writing men don't do. So it's like men can't really write men. I mean, I'm sure some can. Shakespeare, maybe. And definitely can't write women.
Oh, gosh.
And women can write women and can also write women that have penises. It's been my experience in a lot of cases. Not always, but...
The emotional depth and connection and care.
The U-hauling as well, like the amount that Spike falls in love with Buffy is very lesbian coded.
Yeah, it's...
Because you had the situation where like Buffy and Faith clearly had something.
Oh gosh, come on. Of course.
More sexual chemistry than any other character on the show.
The dancing scene. Scene.
And Spike and Faith have these parallels to them. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, now Faith's characteristics are in a much more TV acceptable
representation. because he's masculine looking, but...
And then James Master is like, I'm going to play this the gayest way I possibly can.
And admit, like, let's ask ourselves why, especially in the TV or graphic version, not just the book version, these men are always British twinks.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, James isn't, but he's playing.
No, he's playing British. And then we have Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Tall, lanky, British, and
David
therefore
Tennant.
evil. Tennant, it's interesting to bring here. I don't know. I can't think of him playing a character like this, though.
Crowley.
Yeah, because
Silly, bit evil.
it's hard.
Against the system.
It's hard to claim that, though, because, like, we go into yaoi there, we can go in yaoi, but that's a different genre. Like, these white women that we're talking about, Stephenie and co, they're not the ones that survived the first Trekkies fanfiction of Spock and Kirk.
To be fair, Talia and Emma and May did a podcast episode on yaoi and
Okay.
Boy Love Media.
All right.
They explore those dynamics quite specifically.
That is its own thing, and we can go into that in another episode. But going to the middle-aged white women and why does she fantasize of being sexually assaulted and kidnapped and trafficked?
Also, let's point out here in the Seeing Red episode, the fandom hates it.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a thing that the Buffy fandom are into.
The fandom hated it. The actors hated it.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, there was so many better ways to go about it, and everybody has agreed in the last 20 years, and still. But yeah, going back to the point, like, all these men are tall, lanky, and British, and a bit evil because British. Because I think Americans have this perception that the British accent
Makes you more intelligent.
makes you more intelligent and therefore give you more potential for evil, I guess.
Yeah, maniacal.
Yeah, so,
Conniving.
we have Hiddleston, we have Machigudi in The Discovery of Witches.
Or that other vampire.
Which one? Which one is the other?
The one with the little girl, where they kidnap the girl and then it turns out the girl.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Abigail.
Abigail. That was amazing.
Yeah. Honestly, we don't have Machigudi enough in that.
No.
We don't have Machigudi enough in that. Neil Lubon, if you've ever seen his audition tape for Astarion, he is
Loki.
playing Loki. He's going along Hiddleston version of Loki. And indeed, he got the part to play that same kind of character. Like,
Yeah, we also have the issue that a few of these characters are getting too buff. And
When
muscly.
they-
Like
when
Sam
they-
Reed is too muscular.
yeah. Beautiful waist. Amazing slutty waist. That's the kind of waist that you want in a man. But he is too buff.
Interestingly, Alex Skarsgård is slimming down a bit. Or at least he looks like he is for Pillion compared to how he was in Eric.
Yeah, yeah. Why have we gone to the fact that they are British? They are all British,
I
though.
don't know, you brought it up.
I had a point. I'm sure that I had a point when I brought it up.
We just got distracted by the men we like flashing through our heads.
However, and I will admit to this, I don't know. Is it worth going into the fact? Like, I personally find it interesting and, an interesting kind of... I was raised on that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree, until analyzing the situation and understand why this is wrong, that kind of portrayal genuinely allowed for a lot of the abuse that I went through. I will tell you what, that's actually awful, but it's true. At the time that I was with my first boyfriend in Italy, it was around the time that season 7 was casting. Mm-hmm. And there are so many things, like I have it in my journal, unfortunately, there are so many things that I let my first boyfriend get away with because of the underlying abusive narrative between Spike and Buffy.
Yeah.
And I was like, but if I don't work on him and change him, who will? And that's incredibly problematic. I think that the issue that we have with this media is that if you don't step outside of it and understand the bird's view of the framework and understand that, this seems romantic under the lens of patriarchy. What if we use another lens? It doesn't have to be the only lens. But until that happens, all these representations, unfortunately, prime us to abuse.
Yeah. And I think like they nailed it in season 5 of You,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where the character's like kicking the shit out of Joe and screams at him of like, yeah, we fantasize about these men to get over the reality of men like you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, in reality, you don't have it. It's always like, yeah, You is a fucking amazing example to bring up because it's a parody of these books where Joe is like the most pathetic, like feckless idiot, slimy, smarmy bastard.
But because he's played by Penn Badgley, which apparently most people find attractive, it's not my type.
Did he not get cast because he looks like Dennis Reynolds?
I don't think.
Because people don't find Glenn Howerton hot, right? So I don't get.
I do understand the aesthetic. Like he's tall, blue-eyed, blonde, and I understand that trait-wise, like bone structure-wise, it's not my kind of thing. We can go in my kind of thing if we want, but that's the thing. There used to be a great time in TV and films, I think up until the 2010s, in which the apex was the androgynous twink, which is its own gender, to my liking. But then we have started to move towards the more twink but masculine. So it starts to become buff, it starts to become hairy. I think Penn Badgley is that. Yeah. And also it's an American series. And I think that American people are much more afraid of ever passing for gay for any kind of sensitivity than anyone else.
They made him piss himself, though. People still... Like, yeah, the entirety of season 5 is just the writers staring at the audience going, what is wrong with you? Like, we did everything that we could in every single episode to make this man unattractive. Why are you writing fan fiction about him? And why are there Penn Badgley, like, heart-eyed Tumblr GIF edits? Like, what's going on?
And that's the issue. Society is patriarchy. Patriarchy into current society is wrong. And the way that we are going more and more authoritarian in the last 9 years now, since 2016 at the very least, basically has allowed for all of these kind of narrative to be the only kind of escapism. Yeah. But I would argue it's a lack of imagination. Like, you take what the system is giving you and you just try to work within its limits.
So like, I like to think of the modern iterations that we're getting now as photocopies of photocopies. So like the relationship between Buffy and Spike is incredibly complex. There's lots of different layers of it because it's got a writing team, especially. Yeah. So each writer approached something slightly differently, tried a different angle, explored a different idea. And so there's always something to kind of latch onto. The problem is that then as we've been getting repetitions of these dynamics, they're taking what they got away from it and is often the slightly abusive part, the possessive part, the stalking part, the predatory part.
It tends to be the part that I'm speculating and not referring to anyone in particular, but it seems to be the part that you suffer in your actual life that you want to feel like you have the power and control to change. And so
that makes sense.
You write about the kind of abuse that you've encountered, and then you spin it around because you're good enough, you're special enough that despite that being the then it becomes romance. Yeah. Because it's the only delusion of control that women have over the romance in their lives.
Because like both Twilight and True Blood took the Angel stalked Buffy for months before actually like going to talk to her aspect, and they both took that and just made it extra fucking creepy. Yeah. At least in True Blood they criticized it, but with Edward it's very romanticized. Like the amount of time that Angel was sitting outside Buffy's window watching her sleep. And even when so that's the thing with Angel, is that he has the evil side, Angelus. Yeah. And so people took the things that Angelus did and put them in to their just romantic leads as traits of it.
True. Because
so like as you get like I see Loki as a kind of soft reset, because that's just rewriting Spike as a new character.
I genuinely don't think, and that's maybe me, I genuinely don't think that Avengers Loki was meant.
Possibly.
Because
Yeah, because
I don't understand when people wet themselves at Humulin Quim. I was like, I would fucking kick this fucking twink in the balls if he has any left.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It personally, it made me feel like reacting with anger.
Yeah.
The fact that they all wet themselves, I was just like, why are we?
Because the actual traits of Avengers Loki are he's quite sickly, which we get why that's attractive. But yeah, he's very like run down and sweaty and not doing very well because he's been under the thumb of Thanos. And then when he's captured, he just turns into a dick, and you've got that your ledger is gushing red.
Yeah.
Bit and calls her a Mewling Quim. Then he gets dropped out of the. Oh no, he escapes from that. And then Hulk smashes the crap out of him. Like, where's the actual redeeming part of that? And it's just the bit where he's a dick. He just uses archaic language.
I think the entire reason why the fandom turned Loki sexy was genuinely just a speech to Scarlett Johansson, to Black Widow. And then the fandom does what it does best. What they turned around from that was, wow.
Yeah.
Like, 2013 onwards, if you were on Tumblr, you have encountered the fantastic way in which the fandom turned around, especially in fanfiction and stuff, the vision that they had of Loki. And through fanfiction, you could clearly see that the point was always how special do I need to be in order for someone that wants to kill the entirety of Earth to want to spare me, to want me.
And then, it turns out in season 1 of Loki that you have to be Loki.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. I absolutely don't think that it's by chance that the TV series goes back to Avengers.
Yeah, takes the Avengers.
To take
Loki.
that Loki to us.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's by chance at all.
And then, amazing character development.
Yeah.
Quite rushed because you only got 6 episodes to do it in, but done very well.
Like Lamentis, the episode of Lamentis exists only to give us character development. And I think that illustrates the difference like between Lamentis in the season 1 and the finale of Loki in season 2. You can tell the different approach of narrative of a woman director and of 2 men director. Because if Lamentis can spend an entire episode just having Loki and Sylvie talk to each other to understand each other, and season 2 finale, we are just literally going over and over. It's a continuous wank. It's to see how many times you can beat yourself raw before it becomes oversensitive. And I'm just like, you can't be serious, but they filmed it. It's out there.
And just to really hammer the point down on how much whiteness plays into this, we have Loki's wife. Tom Hiddleston's wife.
So I wasn't into Loki. I'm not into Hiddleston, but there's one redeeming quality of Hiddleston.
Yeah.
That his fiance, I don't know if they're married.
Mother
Zoe.
of his children.
Yeah. Zoe. Zoe is a British woman of color. Now
we love her. We've loved her since Fresh Meat.
Now she is also curvy.
Yeah.
Like, it is such an insult to the stuff that I've seen on Tumblr.
Yeah, because the Loki fandom fucking hate her with passion.
You can see the seeding. You can see that they don't understand why, but they have this thing of you are not what was promised.
Yeah.
You are not what was promised. You are not better. That's the thing that white girls think. You are not better than me. How did you get him?
Yeah.
And I love to see them seethe.
Like, if they were in charge of newspapers, the newspapers wouldn't even touched Meghan Markle.
No.
Every headline about Meghan Markle written by a Tumblr Loki fan would have been that same headline about Zoe Ashton.
Yeah.
That she's controlling.
Of
at
course.
the way that, look how defeated and empty he looks. And he's just like.
I still don't think that Hiddleston has the ability to be in a mixed race relationship, because apparently the stuff that he gave Zoe in preparation for her mother role completely revealed that he had understood nothing about why Loki was popular, and he did not understand anything about his own privilege about that.
I mean, yeah, that's probably the one downside of us, is that we have no expectations of white men that are successful. So like, I don't have time to be angry at everything that white men
I'm
do.
not angry at Hiddleston, but I'm just like,
We should be.
think of the work that Zoe has to do. This poor woman. I look at them and I'm like, Zoe is your redeeming quality, Tom. And you still do not understand exactly why.
Yeah.
You feel it clearly, but you do not understand why. Because to tell your wife, oh, you'll have an amazing time being a Marvel villain.
The fandom will love you.
You genuinely do not understand.
Because they had to do reshoots for the Marvels.
They had to reshoot everything, basically.
Yeah, because they put it in front of focus groups, and the focus groups hated her for no reason.
I wonder why.
Like, she did an amazing job. I think the reshoots ruined that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, like, that's it. She had the kid in between the shoots and the reshoots.
Is there anything more cruel than making a woman that has just had a child, like, go into one of those, like, skin suits?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. No, It's interesting how these things drag from character to real life because
actually, yeah, honestly, like, even including the reshoots that I think did spoil the movie a little bit, The Marvels is, in my opinion, the best Marvel movie
It's
that's
very
come
well
out
done.
since Avengers Endgame.
It's very well done. But it tanked, and I have no doubt that it tanked because white women are racist.
Yeah.
That's the only reason, really. And there are few higher crimes that a woman of color can be held accountable for than stealing one of the supposedly prime mates that people saw that way. Which, by the way, I do not think... I know that it's one of the main theories, and having gone through the entirety of the Oxford book of Women and Competition, I know that anthropologically we do try to believe, especially from the psychological point of view, that women competition, which men don't have in the same way, and there are reasons as to why, is mainly springing from competition over mates and resources.
Which is negotiating with patriarchy at the end of the day.
But it's also a bunch of bullshit because that kind of competition has been observed in lesbian couples. And so the entire point, it is, in a sense, scarcity of resources, not in terms of mates necessarily, but in terms of the entirety of society, because patriarchy is made by and for men. And so whatever else is given to everybody that is not a man trademark, then they have to fight each other. Like the point in lesbian couples of competition
when was that study done?
90s.
90s. And do you know if there was a particular dynamic that they were looking into?
There were a few examples. The one that I remember is this lesbian couple. They are both writers.
Okay.
And the point is the way that they feel competition and a weird jealousy toward each other if one achieves more than the other in the world of writing. And that is literally because if most occasions for writing and for things are actually for men by men, we're talking about beginning of the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, there is a perception of scarcity, which is real because the world is, again, by men for men. You do not have the abstraction ability to understand. That's why the resources are limited. Surviving
under misogynistic capitalism, especially in the 90s. I can see that. I was wondering if it had to do with like 50s to 80s butch femme dynamics, in which the femme lesbian would be like the housewife, would be like stay at home, and the butch would get working class jobs that butches could do. So therefore, that would be, if you're a femme and you can't survive on your own, you need someone who can get one of those.
I don't think that those kind of dynamics were in the examples. Yeah. There's this book called Competition, a Feminist Issue. I will link it because I think it's available from the archive.
I mean, fair play.
Internet archive.
Fair point. Looking now at like online lesbian and like even trans lesbian communities, the amount people talk about there being a top shortage, and so like this pushing this idea of scarcity of like, oh, it's just so difficult to find a top. Oh no, they were both bottoms, and it's like, I think it's because you're viewing someone as a sexual dynamic and not as a person.
It's not just this dynamic, I reckon, like the entire concept of top, the entire fact that in a way the wrong explanation of BDSM has got mainstream.
Well, this isn't BDSM.
No, but an extension of that, I reckon. Like in a lot of these, of the fantasy then of the fairies is something that I see. Like it basically describes heavily topping and bottoming situation where...
Well, it's het, so it's always top-bottom.
Yeah. But I think 50 Shades pushed the kind of dynamic to 11 without the actual understanding of the dynamic. So I don't know where the knowledge, or lack thereof, of...
But just like LGBT top-bottom is a different thing.
No, fair, but it just reminded me of how all the fairy porn months is actually trying to bring, the strong dummy and sub, and I'm just like, this is not what it is, though.
Yeah, I think the one point I've always seen in tops that I've spoken to is that the tops are fucking each other because they respect each other. Right. Concluding thoughts?
I think one of the most interesting revelations to me, considering that up to 6-7 years ago, I deluded myself of being cisgender and heterosexual myself. I never realized before than you asked me. And I was like, well, okay, who was your crush? What kind of men did you want to fuck? Interestingly, I usually had to dig into manga and anime characters because there was always something off with flesh and blood men. Like
me saying earlier that Buffy and Spike is a lesbian relationship, like the reason why that, because I'm not the only one who says it, there are other lesbians who think of Buffy and Spike as a lesbian relationship, and they fantasize about that relationship, perhaps with a female Spike, but it's easy to do with fictional men because they aren't real, and therefore you never have to deal with the reality of them and discover their shortcomings. They can't actually have power over you and can't actually do harm. They're these perfect, protected, not protected, but you're protected from them by the barrier of reality.
Yes. I mean, the entire reason why we started to speak was that you looked like a manga character that I liked.
And turned out not to be a man.
Yeah. So, food for thought and reflection there. What kind of man do you think makes your knickers wet? Because...
Maybe they're not.
Maybe they're not. Just consider, that thing that women are waking up to. Current men under patriarchy are not worth fucking, which doesn't mean that you need to fuck women or anyone else.
Yeah, it just means you need to not fuck men.
Yes. But also start to ask yourself what are the things that you actually find attractive. Because there are
other places to find them.
More places than patriarchy has given an example to find those in. And
the idea that like a man is the only thing that can give you security and safety and protection, even if like that's subconsciously in the back of your mind directing certain decisions. Like,
I think this is an amazing segue to then leave for the next episode, in which I think we will need to discuss what our relationship became and how we navigated through your coming out.
Sounds good. Right.
I don't know. Did you have thoughts? Let us know your thoughts because
I always love hearing thoughts.
We talked a lot and we shared not only from our thoughts but from our experience, which is why it's vulnerable and analytical. And so let us know what your vulnerability or analysis of this was. And until the next episode, I really hope that we can hex the patriarchy together.
Because there's a need for it. Bye.